Welcome back to the Library Learning Series. This is part 4 and the final session of How to Sort Fact from Fiction in a Pandemic. And this step is called Trace to the Original. So it's the final step, trace claims, quotes, and media back to the source. Of all the lessons, this might be the most important because it addresses one of the primary means through which disinformation and misinformation is spread. A lot of people think that misinformation looks like fake news sites, false newspapers, conspiracy websites, and there's plenty of that, of course. But the most effective technique I see today is false framing. How does false framing work? Simple. You link to a reputable source, but the surrounding context you provide is false. Take this example. It claims that the head coronavirus researcher at Harvard has been arrested for collaborating with the Chinese government. That's huge if it's true. Even more, when we scroll down, we see it links to CNN, a multinational news-based pay TV channel in the US. And the article headline has the basics: Harvard professor arrested, Chinese government ties, except there's a piece of this missing, isn't there? Is he really the coronavirus head biologist? Because that would be a weird coincidence. The thing is, there are two parts to this: the linked story from a reputable source and the summary of what is in that linked story, which here is provided by someone we neither know or trust. So what do? We click into the story, and the first thing we do is check the date to make sure this isn't an old story someone is recycling. In this case, it's not. It's relatively new. So for step 2, we search the page for the term coronavirus. In your browser, hit Control F. And when we do that, here's what we find. The term coronavirus isn't in the story. The only hit we get is another headline at the bottom of the page. You can put in a few more COVID-19 terms, but you won't find those either. If you want to read more deeply, you can. The story is about economic espionage, the attempt of the Chinese government to steal medical research secrets for financial gain. But the important thing here is the quick check done through searching the page. By doing this quick check, you find out whether the claim looks plausible, if you found these terms, or dubious if you didn't. So verify the frame by clicking through and searching. And do it every time, unless you have high trust in the sharing source. So that's it. Now you can use the SIFT acronym to remind you about what you need to do to evaluate news. I'm just going to summarize the steps for you again. If a piece of content makes you feel strong emotion, surprises you, or creates an irresistibly strong desire to share it, stop. Use that feeling as a reminder that you need to check it. Then investigate the source. See if the sharing source has enough credibility of their own to be worthy of your attention or a share. You can hover as a first check and follow up with a Wikipedia search. If the reputation of the source is not up to the size of the claim, find better coverage using News Search for recent news. Watch your search terms and keep an eye out for fact checks in the results. If the claim is particularly contentious or new, you may want to wait until multiple sources report it. Even when you recognize a shared source, trace claims, quotes, and media to the original text, to the original context, to make sure that the way the story, photo, or video is framed is correct. Use Control F or its equivalent to see if terms in the summary appear in the article. Check the date to make sure that the story is truly related to current events and the information is up to date. Remembering SIFT won't make you an expert in pandemics or help you definitively resolve more complex questions, but by using SIFT before you engage with sources, before you share, but even before you read or view, you'll be able to apply your attention more productively. And over time, your understanding of the issues you follow online will improve. Thank you for taking the time to listen. The library website, our LibGuides, has this information and more in our research guide under the Evaluate tab, including a list of fact-checking sites and also a few fact-checking online games, including one in which you try to spot fake faces, which I nearly failed. So check that out, and thanks again for listening.